On March 1st, a new crate mod update released, bringing over 30 new items, and for instance, you can now make cardboard packages or chain conveyors. You can use 2 chains to connect 2 chain conveyors, and something you can do with that, for instance, is just hook onto it with a wrench, or you can just take a package and put it onto it. Another new item is the item hatch. You can just right click it to deposit items into a connected chest or barrel, or you can shift click it to deposit your whole inventory. Our next new item is the packager. The packager allows you to turn any item into a... Our next item is the repackager. It just takes 2 boxes and turns them into one. Barely useful, but for instance, if you craft something, then it might be something you should look into. Cardboard. The armor set is mostly useless, just as a cool perk. If you just sneak, you turn into a cardboard box. The sword is barely useful, but it has very high knockback. Everything is made out of cardboard, explains the name, which is made out of pulp. And to make pulp you need 4 saplings and some water and put that into a mixer. Then you take the pulp and press it to gain cardboard. There are also new deco items, for instance the bamboo cherry and industrialized iron windows. There also is the weathered industrialized iron window, which means that iron blocks weather now just like copper. 2 more new items are the pulse timer, which lets you set and pace it, which the redstone torch on top of it should activate or deactivate. And the other new item is the desk bell. Just ring it for a redstone signal. Our next new item is the package frog port, which requires a chain conveyor, and if it's connected to a chain conveyor by just right clicking one, it just spits out a package onto the conveyor. Our next item is arguably the most important one. It's the stock link. It has to be placed on top of a packager, and it checks the packager's inventory, and it can interact with it and with other items in its network. You can connect items to the network by just right-clicking it with an item that's compatible with the network. Now our first compatible item to the stock network comes. The redstone requester, like I said, connects to the stock network, and to actually make it work you need to give it one item that's inside of the stock network and give it a redstone signal afterwards when the item gets packaged and spat out. The next item is pretty similar to the previous one. The stock ticker needs to be connected to the stock network as well, but it also needs a blaze burner or a seeded mob. Like I said, similar to the requester, just more manual. Tablecloths. They come in several colors, but they need a shopkeeper from the stock ticker. Connect it and make a new trade. Then you place it either on the floor or on a scaffolding, and then you set a price. If you now right click it, it gives you a shopping list. If you give that again to the shopkeeper, you get your desired item, paid for it, and got a working shop system. Our next item is the factory gauge. It needs a packet filter to work on both itself and a stock link. And basically it just requests a given amount of items from the stock network, and when it has that exact amount of items it just stops. Our last item is the post box. It needs a train station to work, and basically it drops any items that don't have the same address as itself onto the train, and takes any items with the same address as itself from the train. There also have been some odd changes, for instance, build and model updates to all copper-based components, increased vertical size of trains, copper rooftop blocks are now connected textures, added missing shaft details on the back tank armor, updates to various UI screens and components, and bars and windows are now consistent with vanilla. Now on to the more important gameplay changes. Redstone links are now andesite tier, all links now use a new ingredient item, the transmitter, which is made out of 1 lightning rod, 3 copper sheets, and 1 redstone. Brass tunnels always prefer filtered over non-filtered sites now. Essence no longer kept to 16 items per slot. Handheld clipboards can now be copied into other worlds or in a crafting table. They increased the default max rope length to 384. They added a keybind that opens a radial menu for rotating blocks with a wrench. Chain drafts can now be crafted with zinc nuggets. Redstone lamps can now be picked up with a wrench. And there are new compatibility recipes for immersive engineering. That's basically the entire update summed up. See you in the next one.